Sneakers and Cleats, the podcast.
Welcome back to the Sneakers and Cleats podcast. This is Thursday, July 10th. This is episode 210, special episode for San Antonio. 210 here. Chuck Miketinac, Don Harris on tap, joined by me, Matt Roy, your host. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, News 4, Fox SA, download, rate, review the podcast version. Helps us out a lot. Usually we start with pleasantries. How'd you guys do this weekend? We're going to start a little differently today because of what is going on just in our backyard here in San Antonio. Obviously, we didn't have a podcast on Monday. That was due to the newsroom really throwing every resource we have towards covering the disastrous tragedies that are going up in Kerrville, Kirk County, Kendall County, up there where right now over 120 people are dead. So we know this is sports. We know that we are going to talk sports today, and this is generally the escape for a lot of people is talking about stuff like the Spurs and free agency and whatnot. But do want to start off today with all of the ways that you can donate and the latest information that we have on the Kirk County floodings. So just the latest numbers that we have, 120 people confirmed dead in 6 counties, 94 in Kirk County, 60 adults, 36 kids, 173 people still missing as of this morning. Search and rescue teams have shifted closer to a search and recovery. Still 5 campers and 1 counselor missing at Camp Mystic. So what I really wanted to get to is how can you help? First, our parent company Sinclair has launched their Sinclair Cares campaign where you can donate and 100% of the proceeds will go to the Kirk County Salvation Army. We'll leave that graphic up for a couple of seconds here just in case you want to pull out your phone and scan the QR code over there. 100% of the proceeds will go to Kirk County and how they are combating these floodings and this tragedy that's going on up there. Next, GoFundMe has an area on their website where you can make monetary donations for their relief fund. You can also donate to specific families of loved ones. All of those are verified GoFundMes. There's some evil people out in the world who will put up fake GoFundMes and try and get you to donate to those. But all the ones on the GoFundMe website under that tab are verified GoFundMes for the families who have lost their loved ones. Next, there's the Kerrville Police are also encouraging people to donate to the Kirk County Flood Relief Fund and sign up in the volunteer database in case of additional needs. For that, you can go to cfttexashillcountry.fcsuite.com/ERP/donate. That is on our website. Or you can find all that stuff on our website, foxsanantonio.com and news4sanantonio.com. Also, if you're watching the YouTube version of this, you will see that on your screen right now. And lastly, if you want to donate directly to Kerrville Salvation Army, you can go to tcr.community.os.org or call 830-465-4797. We'll leave that up for a couple more moments here just in case anyone wants to take a screenshot or take a picture of that. I'll repeat the numbers just in case anyone's listening right now. Feel free to rewind if you want to. You can go to tcr.community.os.org or you can call 830-465-4797. Plenty of other ways to donate to Operation Barbecue and all the other places that are out there right now, but those are just a couple. Quick Google search, you'll find you with the rest of them. Guys, anything you'd like to add about the tragedies before we get started on some sports here?
Well, it's always nice to see people come out and help their neighbors and, people in other counties. Priest Holmes, his foundation, out of nowhere, he got some of his friends together, some former players, and, guys like Jarvion Williams, everybody that, guys that we're really familiar with that play football. And, these guys are getting goods and other foodstuffs that are, they're traveling down 2 semi-trucks full of food and other goods to provide some relief on Saturday. I mean, it's the stories are, on and on. Don, you've talked about the pro teams that have come out to throw their financial support behind this endeavor. I mean, just
another one just did before we came on the Atlanta Falcons. Arthur Blank, $500,000 towards that. We've seen the Spurs, we've seen the Rockets, we've seen the Mavericks, and the NBA and the NBA's Players Association donate $2 million combined between all of them. We've seen the Cowboys, we've seen the NFL. Everybody kind of chipping in. The Texans, yeah, exactly.
And Priest, obviously this connection is deep for him. I mean, he's called San Antonio home, and then, of course, the Hunt family that owns the team that he used to play for, the Chiefs. Yeah, they've been affected by this deeply, and they're sending former players down here and everything on Saturday. So, there's a lot of people around the country that have connections to this area because of sending their kids to camp here every summer. So yeah, it's touched a lot of people for obvious reasons.
Yeah, there's so much has been said, but it's good to see some good come out of such horrible. You see the good side of people, and you see the heart of people, and not a surprise for us in South Texas. The Guadalupe is close to so many people that have gone down there for so many years. I mean, my childhood's 6th, 7th, 8th grade. We were down there all the time, tubing and having a great time right there in Ingram. And we had a family reunion at a place called Roddy Tree Ranch right there where it all happened for years. And so if you're familiar with that area, you know what it's like and you identify with the people.
Yeah, and us as a news organization have covered a lot of this stuff over the last few years. Within 4 months I started working here. It was the Uvalde, and then there was the migrant truck tragedy where there was 53 migrants who died in the back of a tractor trailer. A lot of stuff's gone on here, but one thing that never ceases to amaze me is how the community rallies behind everything that happens. And so wanted to get all that stuff out there. Now we'll talk about some sports, since we are in this toy department. For us, we are sports people through and through. This is a sports podcast. We'll get to that right now. So got a lot of sports going on for July 10th, which usually you don't anticipate. Luke Kornet officially introduced as a San Antonio Spur this week. We'll talk about that, how he fits alongside Wemby. Plus, Don got to spend some time with Luke, and so we'll talk about him as a person here, because he seems like one of those guys that's going to come out of his shell rather easily there, Don. Plus, the Spurs trading for big man Kelly Olynyk, former of Gonzaga fame. So they trade away Blake Wesley, Malachi Branham, good deal or bad deal, plus a 2nd-round pick. So good deal or bad deal, we'll talk about that, plus Spurs Summer Leagues takeaway, bright spots so far, rookies that have looked good, rookies that have looked bad. Carter Bryant maybe overwhelmed a little bit and when he goes up to face these 24, 25-year-olds that he's playing in the Summer League. And Dylan Harper still being held out purposefully, or will he play in the Summer League? We'll talk about all that, plus what about a Cowboys coverage for you? Dak Prescott speaking to the media after his camp this week. Had some interesting things to say about his health, one, but two, the relationship between CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, which seems to be just blossoming into things that we didn't think were possible. So we'll start with Luke Kornet and the Spurs here. So the Spurs have their backup center, Luke Kornet, introduced this week at the Rocket La Cantera. Don, I'm going to go to you first, and you can. I've been tied up with flooding stuff all week, so I didn't get to see everything from Monday. But tell me a little bit about Luke Kornet, how everything happened on Monday. Was it Monday or Tuesday?
7 foot, 7'1", 240, physical, good defender, doesn't jump high. He's crafty. He's a good passer. He can throw the lob. He's very smart. Made a 34 on his ACT. Went to Vanderbilt, graduated with 2 degrees in mathematics and computer science. He's very witty. He's a fan favorite in Boston. Reminds you a lot of a Matt Bonner type sense of humor. Fans loved him. Had a cult following. Ready to do something a little more than his role on that championship team. He said he wants more responsibility. I do see him backing up Wemby. He also said he wants to play some with Wemby, which makes me think that's been discussed in the recruitment of him.
Well, since we're right there, I pulled up that bite.
Okay.
Javi, you might want to restart that. I think it looks like it's about 8 seconds in. But yeah, this is Luke Kornet talking about him playing with Victor Wembanyama.
Want to be able to play while Wemby's not playing, but also be able to play with him, which I feel like with Kristaps Porzingis and Al Horford in Boston, we were able to be pretty successful playing 2 bigs. So I think being someone that can just kind of connect and kind of solve things that are happening on the floor in real time is obviously what I hope to do, and I think something they hope that I can facilitate while I'm here.
Yeah, so obviously thinks he can play with Victor as well as replace Victor when Victor needs a blow and gets on the bench.
Yeah, this isn't, Kevin Durant or Giannis Antetokounmpo, obviously, but it's a nice fit. And I think you can read between the lines that with 2 bigs being brought in, Olynyk, both good passing bigs, by the way, and Kornet, that this is maybe a Wemby request, that maybe we start looking at Victor as the 4, stretch 4, and these guys as the 5, even though I think Victor will start at the 5.
I think Victor's going to be the off guard, man.
I think Victor's going to be whatever Victor wants to be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Chuck, I want to ask you, Luke Kornet hasn't played a lot. Like I think his total is $14 million that he's made throughout his first some odd 5-6 seasons in the NBA. He hasn't played a huge pivotal role because in Boston they had Al Horford, they had Kristaps Porzingis. He shifted his game to be more of a center, rim defender, almost like a Rudy Gobert type guy when early in his career he was shooting threes. Do you think that there's going to be an adjustment period for Luke Kornet about playing 15 to 25 minutes a game instead of being that bench guy?
No, I don't think at this stage in his career there's going to be much of an adjustment for anything. He's probably seen it, done it, and to your point, there were a lot of good players on that Boston team, so he's probably looking for an expanded role. So I'm going to assume he's going to go back to shooting more threes, and clearly, I think by what we've seen in this free agency so far, I mean, it looks like the Spurs paid him a pretty damn good, nice contract.
Yeah, and it's front
right?
loaded too. His contract looks like it's front loaded.
I would imagine there was
guaranteed.
somebody else that had a similar plan for him in mind, and the Spurs had to basically outbid another team in order to bring him in. It's just me spitballing here, but they need rebounding help bad, right? I don't think anybody's going to trick themselves into thinking that wasn't the case, and I think they addressed that. I mean, are these anything that I think a lot of Spurs fans want to see the big splashy guy. I know I do, but in the here and the now, right now, they've addressed some of their needs that they didn't necessarily address in the draft.
It's a serious upgrade from Biyombo Bassi, Mamu Kelishvili. Those two guys.
Hey, don't talk about Mamu like that.
I love them. I love Mamu, but it's a serious upgrade from those guys.
Was there, you might know this better than I do, Don, was there a bidding war, for lack of a better term, on Luke Kornet? I know when they got rid of Kristaps, there was reports, they being Boston, that there was reports that they wanted to re-sign Luke Kornet because they were now have a glaring need at center. So was there a bidding war of sorts for Luke Kornet, or was it,
I think there were about 3 teams involved, and one of them was the Celtics. I think there were other suitors who came in with less money, but Boston, the Spurs knew where Boston was, and
they've got cash problems.
yeah, and so Boston wanted to keep him for sure, but they couldn't afford to keep him anywhere near that price.
Yeah, because they're trying to get him off the books by the time you put Wemby and Dylan Harper and everybody else on the books.
He's only guaranteed for $2 million in the third year.
Yeah,
so it's really a two-year
contract,
$25 million deal.
Right. Do you anticipate he was shooting threes when he first came into the league out of Vanderbilt? Do you expect him to add that back into his game?
He was careful about how he answered that. He's basically saying whatever they need me to do. Right.
Well, so what are you supposed to say?
Well, and he did that in Boston. He's the NCAA all-time leader in made three-pointers by a 7-footer.
Yeah.
And so,
right,
and he shot him in at the Knicks.
So, do you anticipate him?
I think he'll have to shoot more threes. I think everybody on the Spurs is going to have to shoot threes.
Well, it depends on how they play Wemby, right? If they're going to play him at the 5, you're going to need someone to kick out and.
That's why they got Olynyk. Olynyk was really good at that in New Orleans.
Yeah, as a Heat fan, he did really well in Miami. So
shot 42% last year.
Let's talk about Kelly Olynyk. So they trade for Kelly Olynyk, 7-footer, he's 6'11", listed at 6'11", 240. They give up Malachi Brandon, Blake Wesley, and a 2026 second-round pick. They have multiple, so it's going to be basically the worst second-round pick that the Spurs have, from what I understand. How I saw that was Blake Wesley and Malachi Brandon, we're never going to see the court.
Correct.
Ever. They're back into the bench guys. They're great dudes. And Mr. Morrow over at San Antonio Zoo told a great story on Twitter about how Blake Wesley was his next door neighbor and he's done so much for their kids and he was very sad that he was traded. But those two guys were just never going to see the court. You have so much depth in front of them that getting a guy like Kelly Olynyk, a 7-footer who can go in there and bang and have 6 good fouls that he can give you, also take some time or take some pressure off of Wemby and off of Luke Kornet. Seems like a good move.
And how many times have we been saying this? Like the Spurs have a glut in the backcourt. Mm-hmm. Why not move some of those guys for a guy equal talent or better talent at a different position? And that's what they did in this case. You got to see if he's going to play. He's been hurt a lot, coming off heel surgery, had a heel/Achilles deal that ended his season a little early last year, and he's recovering from that still. So But I texted with Antonio Daniels, who's the color commentator for the Pelicans, and he, all caps, love him. My favorite big next to Zion last year. Great facilitator and passer for a big, smart, crafty, good passer, and can knock down the three.
Yeah, just it's about availability, right? I mean, he only played 40-something games the last 2 years, so I think a lot of people see a lot of things in this player for sure. You just got to make sure that he's available to play.
And he's a guy who's been around for a while, so he kind of fills that Harrison Barnes-esque or CP3-esque level right there with
And he's
the
on
veteran
a one-year
presence.
expiring contract.
Yeah, that makes him all the more desirable as they try and remain flexible for the upcoming summers, especially when you have to re-sign, maybe do what Oklahoma City just did, and sign 3 guys to $800 million over the next few years.
It's crazy, man.
Like,
Crazy.
that's so nuts to think that 3 dudes on your roster are going to be making $800 million.
$1 billion.
Yeah, almost $1 billion.
Yeah, but looks like that's going to be money well spent on those 3.
So right now there's 13 guys on the roster after Jordan McLaughlin re-signed with the Spurs, and he came over in part of that De'Aaron Fox trade for people who don't know. Don, do you think that the last 2 spots on this roster are going to be filled via free agency, or that those 2 spots are already on the Summer League roster?
I don't know. I mean, if it's a two-way, I can see David Jones-Garcia beating out Harrison Ingram and them saying so long to Harrison. I don't think Harrison's shown that he's an NBA player. I think they love Riley Minix. In the back of their minds, they're hoping that Riley Minix could turn into one of those success stories of a guy who came up through the G League and became that sniper.
That dude.
Yeah. I don't know that Riley Minix is that guy. He's been hurt for 8 months with a labrum. He played his first Summer League game in the last one. But I think they're saving at least a two-way for him again to see what he can do. And then maybe I was interested. I was perplexed by the signing of
Flummoxed.
by Jordan McLaughlin. So
I get, whenever I hear I'm perplexed, it reminds me of Hamilton. You guys remember? You guys see Hamilton?
I saw him.
Yeah, it's the King George. I'm perplexed.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe there's another deal to be made there.
Though they still need shooting. I mean, but it seems as we go through the offseason, it seems more and more likely that they think that they're going to rely on progression from all the guys in their roster, that they shoot 2-3 percentage points better. That's what it seems like, at least.
Well, Kornet can shoot it if they decide to have him shoot it. Olynyk can shoot it.
Harrison Barnes can shoot it. Keldon can shoot it decently. They need everybody. They need everybody on their roster to shoot better.
Champagny can shoot it.
Yeah, I guess. I keep forgetting that Champagny's on the roster. I really do. I don't know why, but Julian
and Steph Castle shot it fine last year.
Well, he's got a decent shot, but he didn't shoot it particularly well.
He didn't.
No.
What, under 35?
Yeah.
What did he shoot?
I don't have it off the top of my head. I know it's under 35. Anyway, so let's talk about the Summer League here for a second before we get to some Cowboy stuff. California leg has come and gone. 1-2 in the California Summer League. Dylan Harper has not played yet. We'll get to him in 1 second. Chuck, have you had any main takeaways from the California Summer League? Anybody who has jumped off to you?
100%. I don't think I'm, blowing smoke over anything when I say Jones Garcia. I mean, this guy, he's got a little junk to his game, right? He's not overly twitchy, but really understands space, and he's just crafty with the ball. He's, got a lot of lefty in him, but yet, this dude's shooting well over 50% from the field. He's just a shade under 50% from 3. He's scored almost 70 points in 3 ball games so far with the Spurs this summer, and he's made other players around him better. There's a patience to his game, too, that I also like and I think stands out. This doesn't remind me too much of what Donovan Mitchell did, but I always use Donovan Mitchell as the Summer League blueprint. It's like, who the hell is this guy? Well, when they're scoring 20-something points a game, they have shown that they're better than the rest of the bunch, and it's probably going to play on some level at the big league level when they get everybody together in the fall. So I don't think there's any question that this guy has made a name for himself, and the backstory's pretty amazing too. But 100% he has stood out. There have been some other guys too. I mean, Dexter Dennis looks like, as I thought going in, was a guy that could play, but Jones Garcia looks different than pretty much everybody, in my opinion.
And we've seen this before where guys play so well at Summer League, they get a contract on the spot. Gary Neal, who ended up being a significant piece of that 2012-13 team. I think he was here from 2010 to 2013. Had a huge game part. Huge, like I think it was an NBA Finals record at the time, like 7 threes in a Finals game.
You're talking about the Heat
Against
series?
the Heat, yeah, in 13, the year they lost. I think it was like Game 4, Game 5. Anyway, Gary Neal did it made the team because of Summer League. Bryn Forbes got a contract out of back-to-back 35-point Summer League games. So he's reminding us of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Someone who hasn't played well is Carter Bryant. Hasn't played particularly well in the first 3 games, and I think even he would tell you that, and I think even his coach would tell you that. In fact,
he's going to.
Yeah, in fact, he's going to right now. Let's hear from Mike Noyes, the Spurs Summer League head coach.
Carter had probably a rough one, if I were to say. I think he'd say the same thing. He's way too hard on himself. He had a rough one, and you look at the box score, he'd probably say he plays so hard, he cares so much, and this is not about him playing great or terrible. This is about him getting better, getting used to things. I thought playing in a close game the last 5 minutes was the best thing for him. He's going to make mistakes. He's going to have success. That's how you learn. That's the whole point of Summer League.
Yeah, point of Summer League is to get reps into play, but I do like when players are really hard on themselves because it shows me that they care, and that's really all you want in the Summer League is show that this isn't completely out of their league. And I don't think it's completely out of Carter's league, even though he doesn't have a good couple of games, Chuck.
Yeah, but I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. I mean, the kid's got to play, right? He's didn't play much in college, and so like, what did you think was going to happen when he got to the pros, right? I mean, there's a learning curve, and there are grown-ass men that he's playing against. And I think Don's pointed it out. I mean, body looks good. I mean, he's super athletic. I mean, there's a lot you can build on there, but I just think it's one of those things, man. I don't know that you should set your expectations too high for some of these young guys because it's a grown-ass man's league, man. I mean, I think the days of the LeBrons walking off the high school court and then getting to the league and dominating, I mean, I think those days are pretty much over. There's a huge gap between the NBA and college basketball or amateur basketball, whatever you want to call it. I mean, there's a reason why there were a lot of teams after this draft trying to trade with the Spurs to get to 14 or to get to where they were picking. Was it 14 that they were picking?
That's where they got Carter.
Yeah, I mean, so you're basically saying that to a lot of teams after 14, there weren't a lot of guys that people had their eyes on. And there are going to be some good players at the back end there, but in terms of guys that had quote-unquote first-round grades, there may have only been about 12 or 13 of those guys this year.
Don, I know you know this better than I do. Has there been rookies that have come into Summer League and just stunk it up for the Spurs and that have ended up having decent careers?
Tim Duncan.
He didn't have a decent career.
He was horrible in his rookie debut. I think there have been plenty of rookies who I wouldn't say stunk it up, but who were less than impressive in their first couple of Summer League games.
Does it take a while for rookies to kind of adjust to that? I mean, this isn't even real. This isn't like they're playing live NBA games right now. They're playing against other guys who are also battling for contracts at this point.
That's correct. So, and guys like the 14th pick in the draft have a big target on their head because of the junkyard dogs that they're playing that are trying to get their contracts. Correct.
And this is a lot of unstructured stuff, right? It's hard to play. It's hard to play the right way in an all-star game or in these pickup games where, man, guys are when they get their touches, they're going to take shots because they all have the same goal, and that is to get noticed. And so I don't put any stock in Summer League play other than what scouts would see as speed, size, knack. That's what, Castle stood out so great. Wembanyama I was there, I was sitting courtside at Victor's rookie debut.
In Vegas.
Yeah, he was awful. He had 9. People would say he was awful, right? And he took a beating for only scoring 9 points, and he was like 0 for 4 from 3. And,
He didn't have a good game.
right? But I was sitting this close to the great Jerry
For
West.
people listening on the audio,
Okay.
less than a foot.
To the great Jerry West, who was sitting, his head was right here in front of me. I'm on row 2. He's on row 1. And Jerry West was sitting next to Tyronn Lue. And they're talking the entire time. And I'm listening to Jerry West. And you're looking, and I'm starting to see what Jerry West can see with Victor under the basket when he puts his wingspan out on defense. And he changes the geometry of the court. And all the things that they're seeing have nothing to do with him going 0 for 5 from 3. And so, I'm thinking like a media guy, oh, he's 0 for 5. This doesn't look good. Jerry West is like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life.
True journalism, eavesdropping on a legend and his coach.
Eavesdropping.
Okay.
They were right behind. They were right in front of me. I couldn't miss it.
We see pictures of it. Don's ear is right next to him.
I could-
I would want to get in on that.
But what I'm saying is,
Honestly,
is they're looking at things differently than we are in a stat sheet.
well, it's hard to judge Dylan Harper yet because he hasn't actually done anything. They've held him out of California Summer League. They're holding him out of the first game in Vegas. The expectation is that he plays Saturday against Cooper Flag and the Mavs in the Summer League. Is that correct? Right now, is that the latest with
Yes.
Dylan Harper? Can people stop with the sky is falling?
No, he was only gonna play in one of the first 2, and he's playing Cooper Flag in game 2, and that's on ESPN. You do the math, you do the rest. The league is controlling this to some degree.
So Spurs fans don't need to freak out.
No, why would you freak out?
They are.
Some.
You've seen it.
Yeah, some on Twitter.
Dylan Harper is going to play in what? In how many of the 4 Summer League games in Vegas?
2.
So your anticipation is he won't play in a back-to-back probably. So he'll play in 2 and 4.
Well, they may put him up against Ace Bailey.
Yeah, and
whatever.
3 against Utah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, don't freak out about Dylan Harper, everybody. He's going to be fine. He is fine. His groin is fine.
Remember, they shut Wemby down after 2 games. They shut Castle down after 2 games.
This is just what they do with their high picks.
That's what all high picks. VJ Edgecombe's not playing tonight. Cooper Flag will play, and then they'll shut him down.
Right now, this time of year is all about practice anyway. Like you get more out of practice at this time than you do out of playing in those games. A lot of the time.
When you write a guy, even Carter Bryant, I think they'll shut him down at some point. When you write a guy a $15 million check the week of Summer League, you're going to protect your investment.
Right. Let's get to Bob. Anything before we get to the Cowboys here?
Robert Smith, who's always in.
Shout out Robert Smith.
Shout out Robert Smith.
He said he can't wait for these games. He doesn't have an outstanding stats, but as long as Harper looks like he belongs on the floor, he'll be fine.
Yeah, and we'll see that on Saturday against the Mavs and Cooper Flag. So.
And SR 2001 says the Spurs need a shooting coach.
That's not a bad argument.
That's honestly though.
Where did he end up? OKC.
OKC, man.
Got himself a ring.
Yeah, sure did.
Shout
Another
out
one.
Chip England.
Another ring.
Yeah, exactly. I think he needs more fingers before he gets more rings.
You know, their
Right?
shooting coach is Mike Noyes right there.
Oh, really?
One of them.
Well, he needs to get with the rest of the roster, apparently. Also, shout out to Jordan and I were off yesterday after all the flooding coverage, and shout out to, we went to Mellow Mushroom, and our bartender there, as soon as I sat down, he was like, "Do you have a podcast?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's Sneakers and Cleats. We do it Mondays and Thursdays. I work for News 4 and Fox SA." He's like, "My dad watches you guys all the time. He was a big Cowboys, big Spurs fan."
Shout out Mellow Mushroom Dad Bartender.
Yeah, I did not get his name. I should
Shout
have.
out.
I should have. But shout out to that guy.
Shout
and
out
to his
old
dad.
demographic.
Mr. Mushroom.
Shout out to Mr. Mushroom. No, but thanks for watching. We appreciate it. It helps us out, and we love that we are able to give this to everybody. So let's get to the Cowboys. Dak Prescott talking to the media this week after his free camp that he held, less than 2 weeks from camp, and Dak says he is as healthy as he'll be. love the way he phrased that, but that's what he said. He's healthy as
That's
he can
fair,
be, Chuck.
right?
So what are you now expecting full go from Dak Prescott as we get closer and closer to training?
Yeah, I mean, I think we were all amazed that he went and did as much as he did during OTAs and minicamps.
Mandatory minicamps. He was running everything.
I would imagine that, given the 6-week break in between all that and then training camp, he should be as good as he's going to be, right? This is still a man that had a significant break in his leg. And then you talk about tearing your hamstring off of your bone. That doesn't sound like that was anything minor either. So, the injuries are definitely a concern because of what has happened in his career, and we'll see if he's able to withstand the brutality of an entire NFL season.
Dak's comment of I'm healthy as I'm going to be reminds me of the old adage of you're in shape at what age? And at 18, you want to be a world-class athlete. And at 25, you want to be in great shape. And at 35, you want to be in great cardiovascular shape. And at 45, you just don't want to have man boobs. So your priorities change. Dak's priorities change.
I mean, you want a 31-year-old quarterback to say, I'm the best I'm going to be. I'm the best version of myself. That's what you want him to say. I'm in the best shape I've ever been in.
No, you're not going to be in the best shape you've ever been in.
But that's what you want to hear. You don't want to see
his hamstring tore off the bone. His foot was on backwards.
He's fine. It's not anymore.
It's not.
How many times have we spitballed watching him? He doesn't move the same way that he used to.
He's not the athlete he was when he came out of Mississippi State.
No,
but granted, he wasn't a great athlete when he came out either. He was never Lamar Jackson. But you just don't want him to be Tom Brady. You know what I mean? Like there's a happy medium in between there that you need him to be.
He's basically telling you he's Tom Brady.
Yeah, that's not good.
No, he's significantly more athletic than Tom Brady.
He tore his hamstring during the Falcons last year when he tried to be Lamar Jackson. Like he was moving around a lot in that game. He was moving around a lot in the games previous to that because the first 4 games last year he was a statue. And people were like, "Why aren't you running anymore?"
He was moving around a lot, but moving a lot slower than he used to.
Yeah, but
around.
Didn't he rip the hamstring on a throw, or
no?
Was it hanging and then he ripped it the rest of the way?
Yes,
I think it was on a pump.
It was the latter.
So,
anyway, there was another interesting thing that Dak said that kind of raised some eyebrows. Not raised some eyebrows, but kind of perked people's ears up when he was talking about George Pickens. George Pickens was a bit of a headache in Pittsburgh, and I think everyone was worried, okay, well, the Cowboys are trading for a headache on a 1-year contract. He's going to be that prima donna that wants the ball every second of the day and wants the ball 100 times while you have CeeDee Lamb, and he's really coming in as a 2 and not as a 1, even though he's a 1 in Pittsburgh. But apparently GP and CD have developed a hell of a relationship over the summer, and GP has done nothing but good things in Dallas. So let's hear from Dak.
That might be the best part about it. That's 2 guys that want the other guy to succeed just as much. That is literally the best part about those 2 men is seeing it firsthand, just them 2 hanging out, and me, the bystander. I go in the house, purposely for a little bit, and just peeking at them. They love each other. They love each other's company. They love each other's game. They're just watch them on the field, them talking to each other, to them just being one-on-one, like I said, on the porch. They're going to push each other. And to be the guy that gets to get them the ball, it's exciting as hell because you can turn on the OTA tapes and one of the guys, the ball's in the air and the other one's got his hands up celebrating already. That we just got to continue to grow that and continue to, make sure that that's trending the right way.
Chuck, do you think that was missing at all last year, the kind of the fun of it? Because you went out to OTAs, I went out to mandatory minicamps. It did seem like CD was having more fun. And maybe that has to do with the contract that's out of the way now.
I think some. I mean, if you harken back to last year, he was going through the whole contract thing last year, and then kind of wasn't, I don't think, his normal jovial self until he ended up getting the money. And we'll see the same thing with Micah too.
I would be pretty jovial if I was getting $35 million.
Correct. I think you have millions of reasons to be happy. Right?
At least 35 million reasons why you would have a smile on your face.
Yeah, I think the thing is, every year we hear about winning the off season, right? This is when champions are built, yada, 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 yada. We hear it all the time, but I think because there was such a focus by the new coaching staff to come in and make sure that everybody knows everybody in the building on a very personal level, that this is really starting to manifest itself maybe in other ways. I mean, for George Pickens, the new guy, to know all about Mississippi State, Dak, that's somebody trying to throw an olive branch out there to build something with a guy that, he's going to have to be relying on. And conversely, Dak will be relying on him as well. So, I don't know how much all this stuff of getting to know other people and, getting to know the equipment people, like, your receiving room or your offensive line room or, the Jones family or whatever the case may be, is going to bear fruit in terms of winning ball games in the fall. But clearly this relationship building was not where it is now, relatively speaking, over the last several years, or they wouldn't be doing all this stuff.
So that's a great point, and thank you for forcing me to hearken. I haven't hearkened in a while, and I just hearkened back when you said that.
Whenever you start going off of these things, I just sit back now.
No, I'm done.
Let him hearken.
I hearkened back. Anyway, I'll say this. I don't know that every championship team has had that brotherhood connection where they all love each other. I don't know that every championship team has had that. But I do know that every team that has had that becomes champions, right? I mean,
look at OKC.
Look at OKC this year.
Yeah.
Right? And I remember the 2003 Spurs with Danny Ferry and Steve Kerr and those guys that maybe didn't play a ton. But, man, everybody had, down to James Borrego, the video coordinator, down to everything. It was like a high school team. In fact, I remember Steve Kerr saying that in order to win, you have to have that same type of camaraderie that you have in high school. And he's like, when you get to college, it becomes about me. When you get to the pros, it becomes about my contract. but the great teams still have that I am going to war with you and for the guy next to me. And that was what was so offensive to Manu and Tony when Kawhi, I don't mean to bring this up, but when Kawhi bailed on them, is because Manu was like, dude, I went to war with broken elbow in the playoffs, in a contract year for my brothers, and you're bailing on it. So I think it is important to have it, even in this jaded day and age of everybody playing for their next deal and all that kind of stuff. And you've talked about it, Matt. I love Schottenheimer for that. Mm-hmm. And you might call him naive, and you might say it's
collegiate,
or whatever, to have it. Right. But I think it can be important. If they go on to do good things, whether it's this year or in the future, I think that'll be a big part of it.
I've said it once. I've said it 1,000 times. If Schottenheimer's way will only be proved with wins, and we won't know. Schotty seems like a great dude, someone I would want to talk to for hours and hours on end. But you won't know exactly if there's proof in the pudding or success unless they win on the field. However, I think we're going into this season with a lot more clarity on the relationship that guys have on that team. It seems like they like each other. And on a football team, you'll hear former football players say this all the time. I mean, even at the college level, you experience it. You don't get along with everybody. You have your certain cliques, and you hang out with certain people. Often, some offensive line may not get along with other offensive linemen, especially in football. You have 53 guys, plus a practice squad, plus coaches. I mean, you have so many people. 2 different
teams, offense and defense.
Exactly. And so there's some offensive guys who won't even know some of the defensive guys. But you're going to war for one simple goal, and that's to win. And you don't care how that person treats you as long as you win, really. I mean, as long as they're integral and do their job. It's different in a basketball setting because the teams are so much smaller. But in football, you don't really care. When it comes to receiver and quarterback, though, those guys have to be simpatico. Those guys have to be on the same page. I'm just going to harken.
Shout out vocabulary.
I'm going to harken here for 1 second. But you just have to be on that same page. And so it seems like more so this year than in the past that everybody is pulling the rope in the same direction. And when you hear Dak say things like that, it kind of reminds you like, okay, we all have this one common goal. And whether we're successful with completing that goal or not is still up in the air. But it seems like everybody's kind of pulling on the same rope.
Yeah, and I think what's different this year, too, is that, it used to be, okay, We need the quarterback room to be good. We need the receiver room to be good. We need the offense to be good. We need you guys to be really tight. Well, there's been a lot of cross-pollination going on between offensive guys, defensive guys, special teams guys, whatever it is. Everybody is learning everybody's name, their position, what shoe size they have, who's in their family, where they come from. And not only that, it's going outside of just the locker room too, to the support staff, the ownership group, and all that. So that's where it'll be interesting to see how much the brotherhood and the sisterhood actually grows this year, because it's going to be more than just one room or one position group.
So now that we get a little further away from it, how poisonous was the Micah D-Law rivalry and D-Law's little clique in the defensive side of the locker room to what Dak and McCarthy envisioned? Like, was there a rift? Obviously, there was a rift between Micah and D-Law, but maybe that was part of this whole house cleaning process.
I think that's fair. I mean, I thought initially that was just alpha dog stuff. You got the old OG and the OG.
The new young pup.
Yeah, right. So, but yeah, the further we get away from this, it looks like there was some fracturing.
There is
to what degree? Who knows?
There is definitely some addition by subtraction in that case. Like,
I
you
think
don't know
Micah
you don't know what the line's going to be without D-Law, but I mean, we assume that taking him away, they think that they can replace him both on the field and especially in the locker room.
I think young Micah wanted to be in on this rah-rah, this Brian Schottenheimer, Dak Prescott brotherhood. And I'm not sure that Micah thought that D-Law, I think D-Law might have been the old OG being like, this is stupid.
We'll find out 10, 15 years down the road in a tell-all book that we will all
or on
read.
Micah's podcast in week 1.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe next week on Micah's podcast. All right, that's all we got for today on the Sneakers and Cleats podcast. I want to remind everybody that there are plenty of ways to donate your time, donate food, water, money. You can donate wherever you want or whatever you want to the people up in Kerrville and in the Texas Hill Country who have lost everything. Hundreds and hundreds of people have lost everything, probably in the thousands. I'm probably underselling it a little bit. 173 people still missing, over 120 confirmed dead. Everyone needs help up there. So if you do want to donate, we have it on your screen right there for the Texas Hill Country, and there are plenty of other ways on our website. You can go to foxsanantonio.com or news4sanantonio.com to find all those ways. So thank you so much for joining us today on Sneakers and Cleats. We'll be back on Monday with more Summer League coverage.